Welcome to this course on security awareness training and seafarers with designated security duties. Topic 1.1 Introduction. At the end of the course, the students will be able to understand the brief historical background of the formation of maritime security based on IMO Resolutions and Regulations. The International Maritime Organization, as the United Nations regulatory body responsible for the safety of life at sea and environmental protection, has adopted a great number of conventions and regulations since its inception in 1959. Due to the new security challenges imposed by some devastating terrorist acts around the world, the organization had to respond swiftly and appropriately. To deal with these maritime security threats effectively, IMO has as an integral part of its mandate. IMO ensures as much as possible safe and secure travel and transport. There were maritime security incidents that led to the significant IMO resolution adoptions. Let us look into these incidents. On January 23, 1961, in the coast of Venezuela, 24 Iberian rebels took over the Portuguese passenger ship SS Santa Maria. The goal of their leader, Henrique Galvão, was to focus attention on the brutal regime of longtime Portuguese dictator Antonio Salazar and the similarly brutal regime of Spanish dictator Francisco Franco. 2 years after, again of the coast of Venezuela, the hijacking of the ship Anzoátegui happened, which lasted a week. For a little over 24 hours the ship was completely silent, and when it opened the radio it did so to transmit false information and inform the international media of the intention and scope of the action. After a few years, this was followed by a mutiny that occurred aboard the U.S.-flagged merchant vessel, Columbia Eagle in March 14, 1970, when 2 crew members seized the vessel with the threat of a bomb and handgun, and forced the master to sail to Cambodia. The ship was under contract with the Military Sea Transportation Service, to carry napalm bombs, to be used by the U.S. Air Force during the Vietnam War, and was originally bound for Sattahip, Thailand. The Oceanwide Loro hijacking happened on October 7, 1985, when the Italian MS ship was hijacked by 4 men representing the Palestine Liberation Front off the coast of Egypt, as she was sailing from Alexandria to Ashdod, Israel. A 69-year-old Jewish-American man in a wheelchair, Leon Klinghoffer, was murdered by the hijackers and thrown overboard. The hijacking sparked the Sigonella crisis. The hijacking of the Italian cruise ship was a significant actual terrorist act. Following that incident, IMO adopted Resolution A.584/14 on measures to prevent unlawful acts which threaten the safety of ships and the security of their passengers and crews. Subsequently in 1986, taking also account the request of the United Nations General Assembly to study the problem of terrorism on board ships and to make recommendations on appropriate measures, the organization issued MSC, Circular 443 on measures to prevent unlawful acts against passengers and crews on board ships. Pursuant to the same incident, the organization continued working towards the development and adoption of conventions and security regulations and adopted, in March 1988, the Convention for the Suppression of Unlawful Acts Against the Safety of Maritime Navigation. The security incidents still persist after the adoption of suppression of unlawful acts. The Turkish ferry MV Avrasya was hijacked by gunmen supporting Chechen fighters against Russia, who took 200 hostages aboard the ship. Then in October 2000, the USS Cole was attacked by suicide bombers, while in port in Aden, Yemen, for refueling. This was carried out by a small boat laden with explosives. 17 sailors died in the attack.
American 11, are you trying to call?
The cockpit is not answering their phone. Our number 1 has been staffed, and our 5 has been staffed.
I am going to call from Washington. I am in a situation with American 11, a possible hijack.
What's going on, Betty? The craft is erratic again. Problem, very erratic. Betty, talk to me. Betty, are you there? Betty? Betty?
A plane just What? The 737?
It what?
Like the World Trade
Who are you talking to?
Oh, God.
Oh my God.
United 175, New York. We have some problems over here right now. We might have a hijack over here, two of them.
Jules, this is Ryan. Listen, on an airplane that's been hijacked. If things don't go well, and it's not looking good, I just want you to know I absolutely love you. I want you to do good. So happy this time. Same to my parents and everybody. And I just totally love you, and I'll see you later. Bye, babe.
What are those people gonna do? All the elevators are blocked out.
Oh my God, so both towers are now.
Okay, I got an aircraft 6 miles east of the White House.
Crystal City, just north of Crystal City.
Just to the north of your town.
Yeah, stop all departures.
Pentagon just got hit. No for God damn, I can't.
The tragic events of September 11, 2001, in the United States of America raised the question of the vulnerability of ships and, in particular, the possibility of shipping being used as a vector of terrorist activity. Consequently, in November 2001, IMO urgently made an Assembly resolution, a .924/22, on the review of measures and procedures to prevent acts of terrorism, which threaten the security of passengers and crews and the safety of ships. The Assembly's topics was called for the following matters: international and legal matters, technical issues that may arise, methodologies on the suppression of terrorist, risk reduction to vessels and their cargo, passengers, crews, port personnel on board ships and, in port areas, and lastly, to enhance the overall security of ships, and in ports, in order to manage and minimize the possibility of shipping becoming a target of international terrorism. As a result to this resolution, a diplomatic conference on maritime security, or the 2002 SOLAS Conference, was held at the London headquarters of IMO, from 9 to 13 December 2002. The conference was attended by 109 contracting governments to the 1974 SOLAS Convention, observers from 2 IMO member states and observers from the 2 IMO associate members were also present. The 2002 SOLAS Conference adopted a number of amendments to the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea, or SOLAS, 1974, as amended, and the most far-reaching of which enshrined the new International Ship and Port Facility Security (ISPS) Code. Since the adoption of the ISPS Code, the IMO has adopted further guidance for its member states, and the maritime industry, with a view to safeguarding the effective implementation of the Code. A consolidated version of all the relevant guidance adopted by IMO was subsequently developed, in the form of the Guide to Maritime Security and the ISPS Code. The guide focuses on assisting states in the following: implementation, verification, compliance, and enforcement of the provisions of the IMO maritime security measures, including the ISPS Code and the SOLAS Chapter 11.2. To provide support, assistance and guidance to its member states in the process of implementation of the relevant maritime security-related measures and instruments, a subdivision was created. This is called the Maritime Security and Facilitation. With these two pillars, and a guide, this will pave its mandate for a safe and secure travel and transport.